Assumedly.
I think we're live, and we're streaming to all the places.
YouTube, Facebook,
Twitch.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of Rennie and Boston in their studio talking about movies.
Welcome to our loft. It is a Tuesday night, and because it is summertime, we are starting to do this live stream a little bit earlier so that we can take our dog out at the right time.
So you may notice that Rebel will be really excited to voice her opinion on this
She's going
episode.
to be going like this all the days.
And I've developed a thick skin for this. I'm just like completely. She could be the most in my face, and I wouldn't even react.
This is what you deal with all day long.
All day long. Hi, sweetheart.
So, a couple updates about us. Oh, I thought you were talking to me, pointing to me. Couple updates for us. Last week, I was on set of a commercial, producing a commercial end to end, and it was really, really fun. Lots of fires to put out, as always. Lots of busyness in our area. We're getting lots of work right now. So actually, I had 3 people quit last minute or like not available, and it was really fun trying to hire people last minute. I even roped Boston into helping me out
for half a second.
And anyway, we shot a successful commercial, and it pulled through as always, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
So a little bit.
So how has this week been compared to last week?
This week has been so chill.
All right.
Even though it's still busy.
Just remember, it's all temporary. Whenever you're making a film or an art project and it seems overwhelming, it's all temporary. Eventually, you'll get to the other side of that tunnel and the light will shine.
Thank you. Hey, brave bus hide. Production's going well.
You got called cute. You got called cute, Rebel. They said, "Oh, what a cute dog."
We think our dog is cute. She has a mohawk. I don't know if you guys knew that. Can you see the mohawk? Boston, turn. She has a mohawk just like Boston.
Yep.
So,
although I cut the back of mine off a little while ago just to change it up. But yeah.
Updates for you, Boston.
Updates for me is that I have been working. I actually have a big commercial that I'm shooting next month and kind of doing pitches for that at the moment. But in post-production on Alien Country. So that's our feature film. If you haven't seen it or anything about it, follow us on social. We'd, of course, support us on Patreon. We'd love to tell you more about Alien Country and show you what we're working on. I'm working on building up a new website and a bunch of materials for that. So lots of fun stuff there. It's a feature film. We shot it last year. Most of you probably know about it. But if you like our Halo content, Destiny content, our sci-fi action comedy content on our channel, you're going to love this movie. It's a feature film we created with all the same type of humor and and pacing and style that we developed on Freakin' Rad, the YouTube channel and the YouTube show. But we took that and we 10x'd it and made it a full feature, original story about a young couple who lives in a small town in the desert and their town's invaded by aliens. So I just showed our sizzle, which is not public yet, but I showed our sizzle to a friend of mine, a buddy of mine today, and he was like, "I have to see this movie. This movie looks so good." So we're pretty excited about it. And thank you, Brave Bushido. Yeah, and good to see you again. I'm glad you're on the chat. So great.
We've been editing scenes from the movie, just tightening up, trying to get our reels 1 and 2 to their final cut. Our most important step right now is making sure our visual effects gets the scenes delivered to them. So that's kind of the workflow that we're working in right now. But we also have a little something that we prepared today. We're going to talk about the 7 things we learned making our feature film, Alien Country, which actually I think that as we grow and progress in our industry and as filmmakers, these 7 things will change.
Yeah, we are running Indie Film School, and we've created a bunch of master classes, which you absolutely should check out. And they break down the process of making a film, because making a film can seem daunting. There's a lot of things that you may have to learn the hard way by experience that we want to help you avoid. Pitfalls, money problems, all those things. There are ways to make a movie, and there are ways to make a movie well. And these are 7 things that we learned in the process, I would say even in the last year, to a greater degree, making our feature film. We have little stories about the feature film that go along with each one, and we'll just jump into it.
Yeah, number 1. Do you want to jump into it?
And of course, if you have questions, hit us up.
That blue is really hard to read.
Okay, yeah. He said settles and grabs a thing. It came out in a blue font. and grabs a pen to write down the 7 things. So number 1, great.
Perfect.
Go for it.
Okay. You cannot shoot your movie until you have a locked script, which seems like a really duh moment. Hello. But we have an example of this. We wrote and rewrote our script, Alien Country, I don't know, countless times. We actually did a script read. We talk about this in one of our vlogs in 2019. We invited a bunch of people to a barn so that we could read this script out loud, and our script was not good enough. I was going to say it tanked or it flopped, but it really didn't.
It didn't quite meet our expectations of what we wanted. So we spent another, 6 months to 8 months rewriting that script, and we worked with the script doctor. And we wanted to start shooting as soon as possible. We were like, oh, can we start in the summer? Can we start, late spring, early summer, early fall? And we kept pushing because the script wasn't in a place where we were ready to say, yes, this is the version we're ready to do. Now there's a catch-22 there where it's like, you want your script to be as good as possible, but you also want to get something done, right? Amen. So it's like, you could always spend more and more time, and that may or may not make your movie better. But bottom line is, you have to have a script that you like, that you're comfortable with, that resonates with the people who are going to work on the script and create it with you. That has to be done. And that does seem like a duh, but really the point is, you can't jump that step. You can't start with a script that's partially done, or some things that or
just good enough.
Yeah, or things you're going to have to pull out or change. You have to have something that you're like, this I can commit money to, or I can commit time to. This is going to work. So
that being said, not every scene in our movie was maybe perfect. And actually, I recall there was a scene that we really did think was good enough. It met our character arcs. It felt good in the moment when we were writing over the many drafts. But like the day of, when we got to shooting the script and like acting it out and rehearsing it, you guys, we like rewrote this little scene on the fly, which is never a good idea. And still to this day, I'm kind of like, could have been better. Should we reshoot it? But no, and I'm not going to tell you what scene it is, because then you're going to look for it. But
and I love that you said, like, we have a Stanley Kubrick level of devotion. I'll take that compliment. We definitely wanted this to be the best film it could possibly be on our limited budget timeline, everything you need. You have to weigh that in. Once you hit go, though, once you start preparing, especially on a feature film, you will not have time to adjust. If you have a scene that you feel like that's not a super strong scene, the only time to fix it is improvising with actors on set. And that is not a great thing to do to your actors, let alone whether or not they're comfortable with improvising or not. You want, like, everything that you change could change the meanings throughout the entire film. So you want to make sure that all the scenes are strong. Let's jump into number 2.
Number 2. Well, I was just going to add to that. Yeah. I think in order, we knew what beats we needed to hit. Yeah. And I think that's why the scene ended up working out anyway. And there are filmmakers like Judd Apatow who like writes his scripts, but he really just knows the beats that they need to hit. And then he has the liberty and he hires the actors who have the experience to improv.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And I think that like on set on that day, you can always change things up. But what I will find often is, in early drafts of script, you're writing things, and especially when you're writing a lot of material, the lines aren't that great sometimes, and you don't realize it till you start to hear it out loud. Like, your character is like, I feel happy. It's like, nobody says that, I mean, unless they're trying to say, are you all right? No, I feel fine. I'm happy. Like, there might be a moment for that, but often like little things like that can sneak into your script. And what you really want your character to say is, oh, what a beautiful day, like, or they could say anything, but like something that demonstrates the same emotional beat. And on a first draft, a lot of times those aren't very natural. And so the more drafts you have, the more natural the dialogue is, the more natural the scenes are, the more real the characters can be. And then giving actors a good script, they can improv and make that better.
So number 2, be prepared to work harder than anybody else on set. Now, this applies to if you're producing your own content, I think most especially. In the studio system, there are definitely like rules and etiquette to the different levels, and people who are in, key department heads, they get to take off before anybody else. But for people like us, where we are bootstrapping our own projects, we're making our own YouTube videos, we're making obviously our own feature film, like we are running the show. And so we have to expect to show up first and leave last, even though I was on screen as one of the lead actresses, even though Boston was the director and like the one who probably should have been like showing up later and leaving earlier, according to more classical sets or set etiquette.
And this is funny. In film school, one of my professors called any producer or any director in independent film, whether it's documentary, fiction, narrative, you're going to be a pro-rector, a producer director. And pro-rector is just a funny sounding word, but yeah, like that's if you're a producer and it's your own content, it's your own work, you're gonna pull those extra hours. Yeah.
I could not agree with you more, brave Bushead, because I'm
Bushido.
Oh, Bushido. Oh my gosh.
Like the Japanese word for
oh,
warrior.
brave Bushido. Hi. Sorry, I couldn't read. I just thought that was an E at the end. I cannot tell you, when I'm just acting on set, I feel lazy. Kid you not. I feel because you're just sitting there. There's nothing else for you to do. People do your hair and makeup for you. You're just like, I know my lines, and you're just waiting. Mm-hmm. Like when I'm just an actress on set, it feels very strange. Yes. So anyway,
but be prepared to work hard and enjoy that too. We spent 3.5 weeks and we were burning the midnight oil, and it was a marathon. I mean, it was brutal physically. Like it was brutal. And by the end of each week, like I would wake up on that Saturday morning. We shot 5-day weeks. So for Saturday, Sunday, we had off. That Saturday morning, I would just be a zombie, and I would walk around and wake up at like 1, in the afternoon, and like just be beat. And it was nice to know that, like, again, that's just temporary. It's going to change, but it's fun to think back now. And while we're doing it, you're just so caught up in the joy of making your own art that it can be worth that extra.
I just remember thinking, like, I don't know how I'm still going, even though we're so tired. Like especially on like week 2 or 3, we started getting into night shoots. I just like remember thinking that, like, I didn't know I was physically capable of being this tired and yet functioning on such a crazy level. So
what's number 3?
Number 3 is learn how to prioritize distractions. Ooh. Do you want to take this one away?
Yeah. Okay. So there was a joke that has come up again, but I would say this a lot on set. We would have certain tasks that we were thinking about, like, okay, look, this Thursday, it's Monday. This Thursday, it's Tuesday today, but let's say, let's say it's the first day in the week. And it's like this Thursday, at the XX location, when we're at that barn, we have to figure out where we're going to get the hay bales from. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I have 3 days until Thursday. Why are we talking about this now?
And better yet, you have 3 days to figure that out.
Yeah. And so, but people would come with these questions or these problems. I know it's going to be a thing I have to address. If I do not have time in that moment, I would say, okay, cool. That sounds like a problem for future Boston. Present Boston.
He literally would say that on set. Present Boston, can't think about that right now, so that's a problem for future Boston.
And it became a thing that we kept saying over and over again. And it's a really good way to manage stress levels too. If you think about all the tasks you have to do, your brain can't process them and you're going to get overwhelmed. If you literally just look at the single question in front of you, okay, how can I add a little bit more humor to this moment that we're doing right now? Focus on that. Okay, how can I make sure that these actors feel comfortable and they're delivering these lines? Focus on that now. Again, that's me as a director, as a set designer or whatever your job is, you say, okay, cool, I have to figure out these hay bales, but today I'm going to look at what I need to do to dress this room. Okay, awesome. And then, you deal with that. There were so many, and the good crews that we worked with, the incredible crew we worked with, they had these things planned out. There were things that I didn't have to worry about, but naturally there were going to come questions. You want to be able to focus your energy in the moment. If there's high priority things, like the shot needs to get off in 5 minutes, how are you going to focus and make sure you can get there? Don't let yourself be distracted with problems that you could address during your lunch break, after, wrap, all those types of things. So that's an important principle, managing distractions.
Managing distractions is a really big deal on any set. Even like last week on the commercial that I was producing, it was like, It was like, I know this needs to happen by Friday, but today's Tuesday, so I'm not going to worry about it right now. Yep. So,
awesome. Yes.
All right. Number 4 we have is improv. Figure out how to improv on the fly. And are we talking about like performance?
Not acting. I think we're talking improvisation. Like, let's say hypothetically it's day 9 and you run out of gas for the makeup trailer.
Yes, this is what we're talking about. Not acting improv. We are talking about what do you do when it's the middle of the night and your wardrobe trailer stops working and it's cold out and your wardrobe/makeup team needs the light to see in order to do makeup. You've learned how to fix the problem on the fly. Mm-hmm. And I cannot tell you how like the biggest part of making movies is putting out fires, is learning how to put out fires. Making a commercial, you put out fires, especially.
These are metaphorical fires.
Yes.
So hopefully you have a special effects
We actually did have somebody put out a real fire it wasn't technically on our set, but that's a story for another day.
That's right. Somebody's front yard, like had a little grass fire. And it was somebody was driving by in our crew and they put it out.
Hot. Yeah. Anyway, we did have an actual fire that had to be put out.
But metaphorical fires.
It was little. So metaphorical fires need to be put out all the time on sets. And when you have a bigger crew that can handle those fires for you, sometimes they will just like check in and say, hey, this is going on. What's your preference? I can do this or this. But oftentimes, as the people who are running the show and like wearing multiple hats, you have to figure out how to do this yourself.
Yeah. And a great first AD like we had on our set, our first AD, Aspen Andrew, she was really great about figuring out a good schedule, but we had some really interesting things. Like we shot at a wild Western bar called the Maple Mountain Bar and Grill. It's in Spanish Fork, Utah. And they opened on Wednesday night. So we knew by 7:00, people were going to start walking in that bar to actually be, to attend the bar.
And we had to be out.
We had to be out an hour before that happened. And so what we ended up doing was we still had another scene that we needed to shoot, which hypothetically we were going to shoot inside the bar. But we decided, no, we're going to transition this and shoot outside the bar, wrap all of our equipment out, and we could still shoot up until about 6 out in the back or 6:30. So that all of our equipment, we could literally just, pull out the back gate and we would be fine. And so it ended up being like a really good improvisation where we completely changed the location of a scene just so we could meet something that we needed to do on set. It wasn't how we wrote it in the script, but if you can make something like that work, and you can learn to adjust your maybe preconceived notions about how something is supposed to look or go, that can save you a lot of heartache, time, or money. And say like, no, we don't have to push this to another day. We don't have to do anything. We're going to change our location. We're going to do it here. We're going to make it work. And honestly, that's a great skill to learn.
Thank you, Brave. He is a good director. He is good at figuring things out on the fly. And I actually think that scene it's like makes more sense to me, even as the creator, to have it outside instead of inside the bar.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's pretty cool.
We had some really cool ideas of how we were going to light it if it was inside the bar, with these shafts of light, and we're going to shoot it in the front. It was going to be all cool. But anyway, why not just shoot it out back? And it looks great. All right.
Numero 5.
Cinco. It's
Cinco.
Yeah, I'll read this one.
Okay, you read that one. Can you read my handwriting? Probably not.
No, I got this. Give space for others' creative ideas or other people's creative ideas, and they will exceed your expectations. I love this. We were talking about actors, right?
Yeah. So this happens all the time. But I think as like writer directors, you want to control everything about your movie, right? Mm-hmm. And we had a couple scenes where actors would come to us, sort of mainly to Boston, and say like, hey, this is what I was thinking. This doesn't work for me. We had a bar fight, for instance, where our main character, Jimmy, played by Casey Clyde, does most of the fighting. And it's like his half-brother, played by Corbin Allred, was behind the bar, and his wife doesn't want him to fight, right? Because there's conflict there. He is an enabler of Jimmy's character, right? And Corbin, the actor, came up to us and was like, dude, my character would get in there. Like he's got to protect his brother. And so that was something we actually had to pick up the next day and add to the scene was eventually Johnny gets into the fight.
Yeah.
And that was really, really valuable to hear his input for that character And it just added so many layers to that scene.
Yeah, I think ultimately the principle here, giving space for others' creativity, especially if you're the director, right? Or a producer, you're looking at big picture a lot. And you're making sure that what all the different creative people you're hiring, you're bringing onto the shoot, you're making sure that all of their things sort of fit together, and it makes this cool thing. It's like you're a conductor of an orchestra, right? But the job of the violinist is to focus on the violin part, right? The job of Corbin in that instance was to focus on his character, Johnny, and to bring level and depth to that added to the story. And he was incredible to work with, because Corbin is, he was in Robin Hood Men in Tights. He was in like Saints and Soldiers, this really accomplished actor. He
was a teen actor in the 80s or early 90s,
no,
maybe?
No, not 80s.
No, not the 80s. Sorry, Corbin.
No,
It was the 90s.
But he knew what his job was as an actor, and he prepared to say, what is my character? What would he do in each one of these situations? And that's a level of focus I didn't have time to do with each one of my characters. Yes, over the years, I probably thought about it, but he's thinking about it every day from that lens. And I'm thinking about it from a different lens. And so if you give that opportunity to say, yes, like, okay, then what would you do? All right, great. All of a sudden, he started to build a character arc that was stronger than what we originally just had on the page, right? You have a certain level of story built into the script, but being on set is a different animal. And that becomes the story that comes alive when you bring these creative people to it. So always give space for others' creativity, and they will exceed your expectations.
I love it. I love it. This happened even with our design and our wardrobe and our if you give people the space that they need and to have their creative brilliance, it's just an amazing day.
Yeah, and Brave, we will get to that question about lighting. We have one more here, and then we'll open up for a couple more questions whoever wants to ask. But great question.
Number 6, if something's not meeting your creative standards or is not fitting your script or is not just working for you on any level as you're the writer, producer, director, just make sure to nip it in the bud before it's too late.
Yeah.
Even if you feel like you're being mean or demanding, I mean, obviously do it in a polite and respectful way. But there are times where things can feel so busy that it's like, oh, we'll get to that. No, take care of it now. Because all too often you end up on set and you're like, wait, when did this decision get made? Or that's not what I was expecting in my scene, or this looks different than I wanted it to. And we're not going to be able to fix it in post, or we'll have to fix it in post, or we're just going to have to live with it.
Even the way you're just saying that, like, I couldn't even think of I could think of a couple specific examples, but I felt like my body just got more tense. Like, when was this decision made? And I was like, because we've had these moments where something happens and you're like, wait, what? No, this is not what we decided on. This isn't, and maybe it is or isn't, but you have to realize you need to take ownership over whatever decision happened as well.
And I can tell you, we had some problems in our set with Alien Country, and I can tell you why they happened. And it's because we didn't have an official person creating deadlines. There was a key position that we neglected to officially hire. We just sort of had a general department, and that key position or person should have been creating deadlines for us to check in as a directing team and approve specific decisions.
Yeah. And all of that just makes it, but you have to remember, it's your choice as a producer, right? And as an independent filmmaker, if you realize, oh, I don't know that this person's going to, find me the right location, or, hire the right, person for crew, or what, if you have that thought, or if it's not working out, deal with it immediately. You're just like, even if it means firing somebody, but that's extreme. Let's just talk about the simpler one. Oh, this isn't, I don't know, the right prop, right? We needed this to be red, not blue, whatever your thing is that you're doing, right? You might just say okay, if you're on set and you have a red, salad bowl for your scene, whatever it needs. I can't think of one from Alien Country, but we should.
A red salad bowl.
Yeah, that's not a great example. What's something that
I zoned out for a second. I have a good.
Well,
go for it.
I was going to say, we were trying to find, the sheriff's car is a can of worms right there. But let's say there was a bat, right? There was one bat that we wanted to put in the movie, right? And it was a bat that was lent to us by a friend. And I was like, okay, cool, we'll bring that bat. And we didn't have it, right? We didn't have it on the day of. And getting that bat, was like something that it was our responsibility to make sure that, these props were ready. They were there, they were available. And ultimately, like, we were saying, okay, well, we're just not going to use that one. We'll run to the store down the road. We'll get a different bat. We'll bring it to the scene. It'll all work out. It's going to be great. But you have to essentially deal with that in the moment, nip that in the bud, and just say, okay, I've made the decision to, and it's like, honestly, if you're not happy with, with whatever decisions are being made, just cut it loose. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you zone out again.
A little bit.
I feel like this is one that we don't want to like throw anybody under the bus for, because ultimately you should always be grateful for the people that you
and
work
ultimately
with. Yeah.
Everything worked out perfectly. I do have a good example of something that we did nip in the bud. So we had a concept where my character Everly was red and Jimmy was blue, and they are at odds at the beginning of the movie. They don't know if they're going to be together, and by the end they are purple.
Yeah.
So like throughout the whole movie, like Everly's wearing red. She's got some red lighting. At the end they come together, and there's some purple tones that you see in the scenes. And one of the outfits that was being planned for me was blue. And I just said, no, she can't wear blue because she's not fully with Jimmy yet.
Yeah.
Or like it was blue and it had purple tones in it. She was like, and I just said no. And so I took it upon myself to find I actually found a shirt that had
perfect
red
example,
and blue plaid on it. So they have the individual colors. This is such a small detail, you guys. So really, like, it doesn't matter. If I'd worn a blue shirt at like a couple scenes too early, who cares? Like, it really doesn't matter. But we just had a very specific creative vision for this.
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, no, she can't wear blue because that's Jimmy's color.
Yeah. And it's your job to explain something like that. If it is a specific choice and you have to collaborate with people, make sure you give them that information as soon as you possibly can to say, like, we need to find something specifically red for Everly. Like, let's do that. And you did that in the beginning. And so it's like, and even if it means like, look, I want to find it myself, this part of your creative process, do that, make it work. And ultimately, that's how when you're on set, you make sure that you have the red dress and you're like, okay, we're cool. We're good to go. We can move on. And we don't have that problem of needing to go to the store and get something, and all those. Yeah. Anyway, but bottom line is, when things don't go well or go well, number 7.
Even the most valuable player on set is a team player.
Yes. So everyone is important, but you need to be a team player and treat everyone equally, treat everyone well, because even the MVP needs to be a team player. And I think that people who are deliberately aloof, people who don't explain themselves, people who have ego, all of those things, they exist, but it doesn't build your reputation. It doesn't build your career. And that's so important for everything that you do in film. There's going to be people whose feelings are going to get hurt, especially when you're doing things for too little money, too many hours, all that kind of thing. That can happen in independent film. It can happen on YouTube. It can happen, on TikTok. It can happen any collaborative creative process. Always just try to be one step above the moment. And remember that you're all coming together to play on the team. And ultimately, you need to treat people with love and respect, regardless of how things are going at that moment. And that takes some self-awareness. That takes some like rising above. But ultimately, even if somebody completely is rude to you or treats you poorly or whatever it is, you don't have to give into that. I know this is like kind of like after school specially, but like really, you need to be able to remember that I am going to continue my art. I am going to continue the process of being a filmmaker the rest of my life, or, maybe not the rest of your life. You might do multiple careers, whatever you want to do, but like your reputation will live on. And so the way you handle that moment, if you can rise above, being cruel to someone or being unkind to someone and be a true team player and be willing to let them be the MVP of the day if needs be, that's when ultimately people will love working with you. There are so many people on our crew that I felt like just had the best attitude and made it feel like even when things were tough on them, they became the MVP of that moment of that day. Yeah.
Yeah, I really feel like, and we prefaced this at the beginning at one of our earliest meetings. We said, like, you guys, we're going to some pretty remote areas of the desert. We apologize in advance if like there just aren't like places to stay necessarily, like that are super close to locations. So we're sorry in advance, but we hope you have a good time. And really, like, our crew took advantage of, they went to Lake Powell. They went and they did extra hikes. They went and they, you know, they hung out with each other, like, you know, at the local restaurant or bar that we were staying at. And it was just like, it was just magical, even though it wasn't the most high profile situation. Right. And like, I've used this example a couple of times, and the last couple of times, I don't know if on this live stream, but like Boston and I were like cleaning up at the end of the day and getting rid of trash and like figuring out how to hook up the porta potties to the truck. Like, I've never done that before. I'm not a truck person. I don't know how trucks work or hitches,
but she is a porta potty person.
Or hitches work or porta potties work. Like, I don't know the logistics of how those all work, but I had to figure it out so that like my crew had a place to go to the freaking bathroom.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like, we drove that thing way too far away for any justifiable reason. But what I'm trying to say is, like, do whatever it takes to be a team player when you're making your creative projects happen, and you will have the best time of your life.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Let's get into a couple questions. There are a bunch of people on the stream right now. So if you have questions, hit us up. We're talking about things we've learned as filmmakers, specifically with our film Alien Country. Again, thanks so much to our Patreon supporters for backing us, helping us with our creative process. Our Patreon right now is patreon.com/.
Danny was a producer as well on our project, and he helped out.
Patreon.com/Storylands. Let me just get that in there. But we really appreciate anybody's support. Anyway, long story short, we're answering questions. You have questions about the filmmaking process. Brave had one about lighting. What type of lighting setups do you use? Let's talk about the one we have right now. Right now, we're using, it's not terribly expensive, but it's nice lighting. We have a big broad source, a large LED light in front of us by Aperture. It's the D200, I think, something like that. But anyway, it's a nice big balloon of a source. And then behind us, we're using these little lights by Rotolight. We put a little gel in front of it, so it's got this nice blue tone to it. So
looks fancy, huh?
Yeah. So it's really only 2 lights in the setup, but it gets the job done. So, but on set, of course, we used all kinds of lights. We had really cool lights called Titan tubes, which are expensive, but we were able to rent them through a great rental house here in Utah, UFP Productions. That's Underfunded Film, UFP, Underfunded Film Productions. But yeah, they've now actually joined with another company, and they're Enigma Productions. But they were really great to us. They got us things like, there's things called Sky Panels by Ari, and they're these $20,000 lights that are like this big, actually, but they can do every color under the sun. They can be super bright. You can put all these filters on them and all this kind of stuff and make it look really cool. So we've used a lot. We had those for a couple of days. Those Titan tubes, though, these little, like, basically they look like a lightsaber, and you have, 2 foot and 4 foot. You could stick them anywhere. We threw them all over the place, and it was really, really fun. And then for the most part, we used your standard we used a lot of LED lighting on our film. That's kind of the future right now. Obviously, there's bigger old film lights that use different kinds, but LED lighting is it's really a revolution for digital filmmaking. I
feel like even in the time that I've been making movies, which is not that long in retrospect, I feel like the lighting has changed quite a bit. Like, people have their cool little like digital panels that they control the lights with, and I don't know, it's pretty cool.
The Sky Panels, we probably had them for like 1 week, and if you buy them, they're like $20,000. We did not buy them. We rented them for way below that amount. But yeah, it's still like, I remember I was talking to Skylar Sorensen, who is our gaffer, incredibly talented, MVP, absolutely.
MVP, Skylar.
Best attitude, loved working with him. And he was telling me, like, the next week he was on High School Musical, the series. And he's like, yeah, I'm like rigging up this barn for some barn dance thing they're doing. He's like, we rigged like, I think like 40 Sky Panels. And I'm just like, 40 Sky Panels? Like, we had like 2. what.
Oh my gosh.
So it's all relative, guys.
That's
you know, but it's just it's great. So that's good. Well, we don't have to jump into too many questions here. If you don't really have any, but yeah, a big shout out and thanks to everyone who supported us. If you haven't followed Alien Country, again, I would love to say, I said this the other day, like just thinking about it, but if you're on YouTube and you have liked our videos in the past, you need to become a fan of Alien Country. I would love to get your opinion. In fact, if you follow us on social, you'll get access to things that we're sending to our fans first, like early cuts we'd love you to see, you know, things, early edits, different things we're working on just for our exclusive fans, so that they can help us make this movie and be part of what could be a huge, you know, franchise, right? Like, right?
That's the dream. That's the hope.
We want Alien Country. So we'll jump into this. We want Alien Country to ultimately become a television show. It's a feature film now. We're putting it out
there in the universe.
I'm going to say this online, and we've talked with a lot of people about it, but we'd love to turn it into a full series that we do. And so, you know, and the behind the scenes and everything, we're starting to publish more of this online. But ultimately, we want this to be a big show that a lot of people can enjoy for a long time. And there could be more movies out of it. You know, we could go Marvel style, have movies and a TV show. But we're going to start with, we got our first film done. You guys are going to love it. And then let us know what we should make the TV show about after you see the film.
So Brave, our fight.
Master Chief said hello?
I know. I was going to get to that. Our fight choreographer is a guy named Dewey Beck. Yep. He's amazing. I just hired him again for this commercial that I did last week where we did a stunt and we like literally had this woman fall from a bed into like the pits of hell. It was really cool. She was on these wires. Yeah. Dewey's awesome. He has done a ton of projects, big and small. And
he did way back in the day. We did a Machine Zone spot. I think it's called Girls, Guns, and Mobile Games. Right now it was called Coffee Table Commander at one point, but it was this AR sort of, you know, game that this girl was playing based off the Mobile Strike game. And Dewey was one of the
he was
Marines.
One of the Marines. He actually was a Marine at one point, and he's like a black belt in one of the martial arts. I don't know which one, but he is so careful and so safe. I
think it's Taekwondo Jitsu.
Kung Fu, maybe? I don't know. Taekwondo, probably. But he did our fight choreography for Alien Country. He's done some of our stunts for our YouTube channel. I just hired him for a commercial. He's amazing. Love working with Dewey Beck.
Yeah. And Master Chief, I'm kind of blown away that Master Chief is here.
I know. What's up, man?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I guess I already said this, so I don't know why I'm saying it again. But if you liked our Halo stuff, our other content that we've put out there, Destiny content, video game content, we really tried to capture, I think, what's unique about the Freaking Rad Show. What was unique about the shorts we were making on YouTube? That fast-paced, funny, schmarmy comedy, the camera movement, the things we started to develop as our voice on YouTube. We took that and then told our own original story, and it's a monster movie. And I always wanted to do something with big monsters, original monsters, you know. And again, we even had our main monster designer who came with the original concept. His name is
Stephen Oakley.
Stephen Oakley, and he designed the World Serpent and a number of other creatures in God of War. So we even had a video game monster designer design our movie monsters. So very much bringing the video game culture into this feature film. So you guys should check it out. You'll love it. I'm overselling it, but anyway, it'll be a good one.
At Alien Country Movie on all of our socials. Thank you so much for those of our patrons who support us, and we will see you next week.
Yeah.
Which is May something. Yeah. Right here in our loft.
That's right. We're going to go take these puppies out, even though you can't see them. They're just lying on the floor.
They're being so calm right now.
She's twitching.
Rebel, do you want to go outside?
She's having a dream. She is outside in her dream. She's doing the...
Anyway, cheers, everybody.